Hey guys, I thought I would do the pick and pack a little bit differently today because I also wanted to talk to you guys about some of my weird and interesting Facebook Marketplace experiences, considering I've recently mentioned how I've been doing a lot more sales there than sometimes on eBay. So I thought it'd be worth to sort of talk to you guys about the ups and downs of it, because I think there's definitely some more challenges with going on Marketplace versus just selling on eBay. There's less protection, you get stuffed around a lot more, you have to do the whole collection or delivery depending on what you're offering as a marketplace seller. But here we go. So first thing that sold is this New South Wales State of Origin supporter t-shirt. We managed to sell that for $33.25 plus post. You would have seen this in one of our garage sale videos. We got this along with like another jacket and stuff, so good to see that this one has sold, even though it's outside of State of Origin season. I honestly expected to wait until next year for this one to go through. So Marketplace, I've definitely had some weird experiences recently with Marketplace. I think because we're on it a lot more now, the weird experiences have picked up, but that is okay. I'm happy to go through it all because there's definitely still some really good rewards with selling on Marketplace. But most recently, I mean, you always have the problem of people not showing up. That's one thing that, fortunately enough, I don't think happens to us that often. I've only had the occasional person, like recently maybe one or two people say that they were going to come and then not show up. So we've actually been quite lucky on that front. But in saying that, I've also been contacted by a lot of people who I've basically said like next in line for their item, or like if the sale falls through because they're marked as pending, let me know. And I would say probably every second or third item that I do that on, I actually get recontacted by the seller saying that the person just never showed up. Am I still interested? Always definitely still interested. But it seems to be a more common occurrence. I don't know if people are just lazy or if it's the season. I don't know, but I definitely have seen a pick up in that happening. Consignment one, I know you hear me say this every week, but we sold these two mugs, they're Wedgwood, for $50 plus post. So yeah, another quite odd experience that I've had is people not reading the description. And I mean, that's always a common thing. You always get the classic generic, oh, is this still available? Like, yeah, it's still available if the ad's up. But I've also had an incident where a guy was like, no, I'm coming to pick this up. I'll come pick it up. I'm like, yeah, cool. See you soon. He showed up. He paid for it. And then as I closed the door, like the front door to our house, he starts going, oi, oi, oi. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? And then he's like, these are really small, because these were coat hangers that I was selling. These are the coat hangers that we've like collected along the way. As you guys know, I've gotten rid of all of our clothing racks in the eBay room, and we've moved, as you will just see, into those little padded mailers. But he was saying something like, oh, these are too small, like these are kid size. And I was like, whoops, yeah. I mentioned that in the description, like I listed out the size. He's like, oh, I never read those. And I'm like, okay, so you don't read it, but you were willing to drive all the way here. I mean, he didn't live that far. I was only a couple of suburbs over. But still, drive all the way here, negotiate the price as well. So we'd already discussed a cheaper rate than what I had listed it for. So I was willing to go through all of that to not even bother reading the description and then to see if it was like the right size or what he was actually after. In the end of the day, he just went, oh no, sorry, these are too small. And I go, okay, well, here's your money back. And then he left. But in instances like that, it's super annoying because I was waiting for him to come. I had spent not my whole day, but I'd spent a part of my day waiting for this man to arrive. Had to reorganize a few things, waiting for this guy to come, for him to then show up and say it wasn't the right one. I'm like, well, cool. We've just wasted both of our times then. That's fine. And then I now still have the item, which is fine because obviously I can keep it listed and try and sell it, but it was just one of those weird experiences. And Matthew has opened the door while I'm recording. I don't know if you paused that or not, but apparently it's still recording. So fingers crossed we got the beginning of my video. Anywho, so yeah, that was just a really weird experience. I've never had something quite like that happen to me before. I've definitely had people ask, like, I don't want to say dumb questions, but they kind of are because it's mentioned in the description. But never to the point of like someone just being like, oh yeah, no. I'm like, okay, whatever. I definitely have had though, which is always the fun of Marketplace. I had back when we did a garage sale, I had someone, based off the photos, like I had really rough photos. There was some a set of golf clubs. They weren't in the best nick. We weren't going to sell them for like too much, but also not super cheap because obviously they're golf clubs. Just quickly, the horse watch we sold for $25, free postage though. So that one I could probably just shove in a padded mailer. So yeah, I had this guy reach out and he was like straight off the back, oh, like I want that set of golf clubs. And I'm like, yeah, of course, no worries. This is what we were going to ask for it at the sale. And he's like, yeah, okay, cool. He then, like, in all fairness, it wasn't a good photo of the golf clubs. Like, it was up against the back wall. It was part of like the larger picture that I had of the different items that were going to be available. He then rocked up and was like, oh, they're not in very good condition. And I'm like, I mean, they're not in bad condition. Like, if I was doing a Marketplace like listing for it, you obviously would have had more detailed photos, but you didn't ask for them when you were there. You also didn't ask for any information on the clubs. And immediately he's like, oh, I don't want to pay what you're asking for them. And I was like, okay, like that's also fine. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You can have them for a bit less because you're already here. Obviously, I don't care that much for the sale of the sale. But after speaking to Matt about it, because as you guys know, we also do a lot of golf club listings, and apparently this guy always comes around with the same story. It's always, oh, I'm getting these golf clubs for my grandson. Like, I'm really interested, but because he's obviously not like a super keen player, can you do them a lot cheaper? I mean, thankfully for me, when he actually came to the door, because Matt's always just said like, no, go away to this guy, because he always severely under quotes, but it's always, again, the same story, which I find a bit odd. But because he's already there, he only, I think, negotiated down like $5 or $10. So I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever, I don't really care. But I have noticed recently, so this was a couple of months ago, like this was before we went to Italy sort of thing, he recently messaged off the back of one of our other golf club listings, like a lot better quality, better brand and everything else. He messaged off the back of being like, oh hi, I'm looking for golf clubs for my grandsons. How many golf clubs for his grandsons does this guy need? I also had listed out some for free they were like really shitty golf clubs, and we just didn't want to deal with them. But obviously, if we could avoid it going to landfill, like someone could use it for art, or someone could try and clean them up if they wanted to. But I essentially left them out the front and said, for free, whoever wants to come get them, here's the address. A lot of people ask me, like, oh, is it still available, blah, 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 blah. I noticed that in my spam was, again, the same guy being like, oh, hi, are they still available? Like, I want to get them for my grandsons. And I was like, funny, one, that it went to my spam, but two, he then consistently sent a few messages afterwards, after me not replying, because obviously I hadn't seen it at that point. By the time I did see it, the clubs were already gone. But he was like, hello, hi, super keen. Can you please reply to my message? Hello, no response? And I'm like, whoa, dude, chill, they're for free, one. Two, I'd already posted the address on the listing. I said, out front, come get them. So the fact that I didn't even want to do that, I was like, whatever. But yeah, so we've definitely had, particularly this one guy who we now know just to avoid. But that was also a weird experience on Marketplace. Booklet. These went on to sell for 26 plus post. Really odd with this, and I was just saying to Matt this morning when I pulled them, these have been sitting on our shelves for a while, and then I did some reorganization of some of our bookshelves because I was adding some more books in and needed more space. So I just re-skewed these to a different shelf, and then they instantly went on to sell. I think that counts as editing your listing. Another really weird one, and I've definitely, don't get me wrong, I've had people block me on Marketplace before, which, I guess, I always feel like is quite an aggressive approach. But look, like, I get it. Normally, actually I think 90% of the time is when it's discussing about me being a reseller. But I've also had some salty people just block me because they were sad they didn't get the item. Specifically one guy, and this is also one of the downsides of Marketplace, right? So I put up the paintings, the consignment paintings that you see that we consistently sell on eBay as well. But I listed some of the some of the paintings up onto Marketplace as well, because obviously if we can avoid having to pay the eBay fees, if we can avoid having to pay shipping on some of these items, I'm always going to be all for it. But at the same time, with Marketplace, you always know it's going to be first in, best dress. If you... Oh, would that just fit? Probably not. If you ask me to hold it for you, like you say you're coming, you give me a time, okay, cool. Like, I'll see you then. You're locked in, that's your item. If you're just asking me if it's available, haven't locked in a time, haven't committed to anything, then I'm sorry, but, and please tell me if I'm wrong with this, guys, but in my head, it's still free game. Like, it's, if someone else says they can come and get it tomorrow, and you're still umming and ahhing about it, or you've asked a few questions and haven't really committed in any way, shape or form, then I'm going to give it to someone else, because end of the day, I want these gone. I want to sell them, I want to move them, I don't want to have to hold on to them. So this guy had been like, yeah, okay, cool, I'll think about it. And then me being polite, I mean, I probably didn't even have to do this, to be honest. I sent him a message saying, hey, like, I have someone else interested in it. They have said that they can come and collect on Friday, but like, I'll let you know if it falls through. Obviously, also me wanting to keep my options open. And I don't know, you also tell me, guys, if that was the polite and or right thing to do. But I let him know, and then the person didn't end up showing up. So I went back into my chat with this guy to let him know that it was still available. And only then is when I noticed that he had left the conversation, because I don't know if you guys know, but you can always leave a chat on Marketplace. If you're sort of done with the conversation, you can just leave it, and then they can't keep messaging you. But he'd left the conversation. He had blocked me on Marketplace, and he also left a 1-star review, which now means that my perfect 5 stars is gone. All because I said someone might come and get it. They didn't end up getting it. It ended up going to someone else, so I'm glad that it sold. But I don't know, did I do something wrong in that situation? Did I offend him? Let me know in the comments, because I'm so confused by that scenario. We sell these 2 Nintendo Switch games for 30 free postage. That one's really easy because it can just fit into a padded envelope, and we can probably just stamp that one, because I don't know. Oh, it might be a bit too thick. I'll have to wait and see when we get to postage stage. Now, another recent experience to do with blocking and the reselling is I saw this post on Marketplace, and I thought, oh, this could be a good opportunity to create a relationship. This person seems to have quite a bit of stock that they're willing to sell. Definitely something I would love to tap into, and if I could create some sort of deal, as you guys know, it's convenient for me, it's convenient for them, like happy days. So in the listing, in particular, this guy had said, oh, like, this is as a bundle, like, keep an eye out on my profile because I'll have more listings coming up. And obviously to me that is always very appealing when they say they're going to have more similar listings coming up, because obviously, like I said, if I can make a group bundle deal, happy days. So I reached out to this guy being like, oh, hey, like, his original prices on the first listing weren't bad. They were actually fairly decent. I was just going to figure out what I could make the most money on, if I could make a group deal. So I was really transparent with him. I was like, hey, I run an online eBay business. I'm hoping to create some sort of mutually beneficial relationship for both of us. As I saw in your listing, you mentioned that you had more products that you were going to list. So hoping to save you some time by not having to list them, and potentially obviously giving me like a bulk bundle deal to help just move it quickly. Which is fine. I also linked him. I was like, oh, to prove that we're like a legit business, go look at our eBay store. We're called the Comat Exchange. Feel free to check it out. He was like, oh, thanks. Like, I've been reselling since like before the hype of COVID. So like, I'm all good sort of in that space. I'm not keen to move any of these products super quickly. Like, I sort of know that the whole biz and whatever else. And I'm like, oh yeah, like, no worries. Obviously super fine. I just thought it was worth asking. And he was like, oh yeah, like, liked that message and was like, but let me know if you're still interested in the lot. And I was like, yeah, fair point. Like, obviously it was a bit of a further drive, and I could just keep an eye on his profile, and if anything really cool came up, then we could sort of work on a case by case basis. So while I was looking at his store, looking at the items, starting to run a few eBay comps, I then got another message from him. I opened it. Straight away he was like, oh, I hate resellers. They're the scum of the earth. You guys always trying to undercut the poor and unknowledgeable. You guys are really dodgy and shady, and I hate what you do. Like, basically, F you in the nicest way possible. But obviously it wasn't very nice. Me just trying to be polite on YouTube. And he was like, oh, I bet you didn't see that coming, sweetheart. And then he left the conversation and blocked me. And I was just like, whoa. Where did it even come from? He was so polite the first couple of messages that we were chatting about it, and he was like, oh yeah, like, obviously I'm not looking to move things on. I don't know. Like, obviously we'd just spoken about me being an online seller, and if I was selling secondhand stuff, because they weren't brand new in box or anything. So obviously, by definition, a reseller is someone who buys old and used or new stock, but then sells it on as would any other business. Like, technically businesses who buy large quantities from somewhere else are reselling. Anyways, he had the biggest go at me. I was so confused. Honestly, I was just I was literally sitting there gobsmacked. I was like, oh, should I take a screen recording of this? Oh, wait, let me just see, like, to double check that he's actually blocked me. So I went out, I tried to click his profile, it said it wasn't available. Then I went back into the chat, and then I reported it for harassment, but all of the messages were deleted on his end, like when they say unavailable. So I can't actually show you guys the messages, but it was just a very unique experience. I've never had someone be so aggressive like that towards me. I've definitely had people who say that they don't like resellers, which is 100% fine. Like, that's your choice, that's your preference. I'm not gonna, and I mean, I've always said this on the channel, right? I'm not gonna try and severely undercut people. If I can create a mutually beneficial relationship or deal, then 100% I'm gonna do it. But I'm not gonna, like, if you're telling me you want 50, I'm not gonna offer you 5. Like, if you can get 50, go get 50. Like, that's not my problem, that's not my place. I'm just looking for stock that I can then make my margins on, but you still get what you're happy with. So yeah, I was just like, whatever. And finally, our last what's sold for this weekend is this sealed squatters game. We got this one off like a council cleanup sort of deal. It was this lady who posted saying that she had all of these board games out, and I was talking to her and she was absolutely lovely. But this went on to sell for 50 plus post. I can probably just bubble wrap and black wrap this one. But yeah, all in all, I would say Marketplace has definitely gotten a lot more competitive as well, which again is fine. It just means that it's harder to source stuff. I think my sourcing pools are getting smaller, considering I don't love going to op shops. I do find that a bit more challenging, also just because of like their asking prices. The quality of stuff that gets donated isn't always the best. So I will occasionally go to Marketplace to try and find a good deal, but it's not always guaranteed. And also, like, I always say this with a bit of a grain of salt with my experiences, right? Because I have had some wonderful deals on Marketplace. I've created some wonderful relationships with people. Like, that is how, if you've seen my consignment video, that's how I got onto the original consignments for this family with the art and the Wedgwood. So it's not all doom and gloom, it's just a matter of making sure you're approaching the right people in the right way, always being super transparent. Like, I'm not going to hide if they ask. Obviously, I'm not going to make up like a story that, oh, I'm buying it for my grandson who loves golf. No, I'm going to be upfront with you and say, oh, this is what I'm doing. If that conversation comes up, obviously I'm not going to initiate the conversation being like, hi, I'm a reseller. Give me. But obviously if they ask, I'm more than happy to be transparent about it. But yeah, I think that sort of sums up some of my weird experiences. Please let me know, guys, in the comments some of yours, because I know I would not be alone in this. There's weirdos out there. Also the scammers, beware. Usually it's their cousin coming to pick it up and they want to transfer you the money. That's the one that I've generally ran into. We do get that a lot, usually on higher listed items. So anything that's over like, even just like $90, I feel like that's when the scammers start crawling out a bit. It's very easy to spot, guys. And also, don't be afraid to use Pay ID on Marketplace, but obviously use common sense. Like, if they're being dodgy about it, do Pay ID on pickup. That's fine. I offer it all the time because I know not everyone just carries cash. But obviously, like, just use your common sense. Suss out the person's profiles, see if they look legit. Suss out, like, how they're responding and how they're replying to messages. Like, a really good indication is if they continuously repeat themselves or use the exact same phrasing. I had a scammer who was asking about some items and I said, and I think because they wanted shipping, And I was like to them, oh, no, we don't do shipping. You'll need to come and collect. Oh, okay, when can I come and collect at this time or this day? Oh, for me, because it actually didn't work. I said, no, sorry, like it'll have to be before this time. Oh, okay. But I want to come and collect. Can I come and collect at the same, like they said the exact same thing, and I'm like, I already said no. So at that point, you just sort of block and delete. It is really hard though, guys. Let me know, because I don't actually know this. If you block and delete someone, can they still give you negative feedback? Like, I don't know how that necessarily works on Marketplace, or if that's even like a possible thing. Because I've definitely considered blocking some people purely just because of their behavior. But then I don't know if they're allowed to negatively review me still after the fact. So if you guys know, please let me know. So I'd be very interested. Because there is always that concern. And actually this is something that I wanted to quickly touch on, or what I mentioned at the beginning of Facebook being a lot harder, is if someone gives you negative feedback, there is zero way to appeal it. There is zero ways to remove it. It just sits on your profile. And yeah, there is nothing that you can do about it. Facebook doesn't have the capabilities to review it. Also, I think if you have any experience on Facebook, you know that they're really bad at reviewing things in general, even if you're reporting someone for like a phishing scam or harassment, or if they're super dodgy or whatever else. Every time I've reported someone, Facebook's always come back being like, sorry, we didn't remove their profile. I was like, how could you not? It was obviously a scam. But yeah, Facebook is really unsupportive. It's a great platform, obviously, because you don't have the fees and you can list things up and have a local pickup, and it's just super convenient. But that's the one, I think, negative side to it all, is that there is no support. Obviously, if you do get scammed, contact the police. That's something that you should definitely escalate beyond Facebook. But as a whole, I think you don't have that rapport. You don't have someone that you can message and ask for help. You don't have any of that support. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. I mean, we do. We also managed to sell, actually, carrying on with what's sold in the video, some coat hangers. Not from the dodgy guy, or not the weird guy that complained, but actually a lady came and collected some coat hangers for $20. So that was a good, easy change. But yeah, interesting. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear your experiences as well. Please let me know if you've made it this far. Thank you so much. Like, comment and say hello, and subscribe to the channel would mean a lot. But I will see you guys on the next one.